There's a number that I can't stop thinking about. Not a big, dramatic number, not a billion-dollar figure or a market crash statistic. Just 13. 13 IQ points. That's what worrying about money costs you, not metaphorically, not emotionally, but measurably, neurologically. Researchers at Princeton put people under active financial stress and watched their effective cognitive capacity drop by 13 points. That's the same as pulling an all-nighter, except with the all-nighter, you can sleep it off. With financial stress, you just keep going, diminished, running every decision through a processor that's quietly throttled in the background. Here's what makes this uncomfortable. Most of us think money stress is about not having enough money. And yes, that's part of it. But the actual damage isn't in the bank account, it's in the brain. When you're financially unstable, a significant portion of your cognitive bandwidth, your working memory, your impulse control, your capacity for long-term thinking, gets quietly reassigned to one background task: survival math. Can I cover this? What if that breaks? What about Friday? That math never stops running. It runs while you're at work. It runs while you're trying to be present with your family. It runs in the 30 seconds between waking up and checking your phone. You're not just broke financially, you're broke cognitively. And a brain running in survival mode is a brain that cannot think strategically, cannot plan well, and cannot see opportunity. This is the poverty trap nobody talks about, not the one where you can't afford the quality shoes, so you keep buying cheap ones. That's real, but it's surface level. This one goes deeper. Financial stress makes you worse at solving financial problems. The anxiety creates the conditions for the decisions that create more anxiety. It's a loop, and from inside the loop, it just feels like bad luck. So what's actually happening neurologically? Your prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for planning, impulse control, weighing trade-offs, functionally downgrades under chronic stress. It doesn't go offline, it just gets deprioritized. Your brain is an extremely efficient survival machine, and when it detects threat, it routes resources accordingly. The problem is it can't distinguish between a physical threat and a financial one. An overdue bill and a predator in the dark produce similar neurological responses: adrenaline, narrowed focus, short time horizons. That's useful if the threat is immediate and solvable. It's catastrophic if the threat is structural and ongoing, because you end up making 10-second decisions about problems that require 10-year thinking. And then people look at the results, the payday loan, the skipped bill, the impulsive purchase, and call it a character flaw, undisciplined, short-sighted. But imagine trying to solve a complex equation while someone screams in your ear. You're not bad at math, you just can't hear yourself think. Here's where the conventional financial advice collapses. The standard prescription, invest early, build wealth, think long-term, is correct. It's just applied to people whose cognitive resources are already spoken for. Telling someone in active financial survival mode to think about their retirement account is like coaching someone's swimming technique while they're drowning. The advice isn't wrong, the sequencing is. The research suggests that what actually breaks the stress loop isn't wealth, it's buffer, the gap between what you have and what you need. Two people can earn identical salaries and have wildly different stress levels, depending entirely on whether an unexpected $400 expense is an inconvenience or a catastrophe. The income number is almost beside the point. The volatility number is what determines how much cognitive space you have left over for everything else. $1,000 sitting in a savings account does something that compound interest charts can't capture. It silences the background noise, not completely, not permanently, but enough. Enough that your prefrontal cortex can come back online. Enough that you can think past Friday. Building that buffer from zero is genuinely brutal, and most financial content glosses over this part. If you're living paycheck to paycheck, you're also paying what economists call the poverty premium, the additional cost of not having capital. Overdraft fees, payday loan interest, buying single units instead of bulk, the cheap option that breaks and has to be replaced. Being poor is expensive in a very precise, documented way, and saving money while paying the poverty premium is like filling a bucket with a hole in it. Progress happens, it's just slower than the setbacks.
Most people don't fail to build an emergency fund because they don't understand it's important. They fail because the path there keeps getting interrupted by the exact emergencies the fund is supposed to prevent. Each reset is financially recoverable. Psychologically, it compounds. By the third or fourth time you're back to zero, it starts to feel less like a setback and more like a verdict. But here's the thing about that first $1,000 that actually sticks. The first time you use it, the flat tire, the broken phone, the medical bill, something shifts that has nothing to do with the money. You handled it. No panic spiral, no bill juggling, no choosing between two bad options. The money did what it's supposed to do. It solved the problem cleanly, without generating 3 new ones. For a lot of people, that's the first time money has ever felt like a tool rather than a threat. That experience rewires something. Not instantly, but gradually. The time horizon extends. You start thinking in months instead of just making it to the end of the week. You start noticing options you couldn't see before because panic makes opportunity invisible. The buffer isn't wealth. It's not even close to wealth. It's the minimum viable condition for clear thinking. And clear thinking, applied consistently over time, tends to produce wealth as a byproduct. Which brings us back to those 13 IQ points, because the uncomfortable implication of that research isn't just that financial stress makes you worse at managing money. It's that the people best positioned to make good financial decisions, the ones with options, with buffers, with stability, are also the ones operating with the most cognitive capacity. And the people who need good decision-making the most are the ones running on the least of it. The system isn't neutral, it's tuned. And the question worth sitting with, long after you've closed this tab and gone back to your day, is whether that's a design flaw.